Have I just landed in the trans capital of the world? You have trans buses, trans trains. There are billboards everywhere advertising TransLink. You sure know how to make an international time-travelling queer feel welcome. In disguise, discreet and disinherited, us queers aren't always welcome, darlings. Throughout history, we've been bashed and beaten, stripped and strung up, sacked, stoned, shamed, committed, castrated, incarcerated. I watched faggots thrown as kindling to fuel the fire of frightened witches. I saw nasty Nazis tarnish us with triangles of pink persecution. I still see conversion and electroconvulsive cures. Queers chastised, stigmatised, lobotomised, dishonourably discharged, disappeared and sentenced to death. Oh, well, that was some heavy shit, wasn't it, darlings? Sorry, not sorry. Where's the... First I was afraid, I was petrified. Oh, I will survive, all right. Been there, done that, attended the rallies. That is why I am called political. As in political? We all know shit starts in the colon. Colonisation is still shit for First Nations folks. Forbidden and punished, the often non-binary, two-spirit, storytellers, shapeshifters and shamans were suppressed, oppressed and depressed by holier-than-thou Christians on a mission who refused to see the world as other than binary. These queer ancestors offered a broader perspective. Well, tonight isn't just a history lesson, darlings. Colonisation and its deadly ripples are still happening. And so, I wish for a big, fat enema to help excrete some of that binary shit. Today, the Campaign Against Moral Persecution, CAMP, an LGBT activism group, held the first of many public meetings. Camp is born. The tide is turning. Oh! My waters are breaking! We say a fairy godmother gets her wings every time another little baby queer is born. Oh, 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 oh.
Before I was born, my kin assigned me male. I was reassigned female at birth.
Sydney Mardi Gras is taking its first steps. Gays and lesbians are publicly marching to the beat of their own drums. Oh, 53 people charged and beaten by the boys in blue. Meanwhile, on the outskirts of Brisbane.
I'm 7. I'm a boy. I stuff footy socks down the front of my footy shorts and wear my football jersey every day. My family have to call me Tommy. When I grow up, I'm going to be a footy player and a brickie and a vet and a drummer and a superhero. Holy, life is a big adventure, Batman. My mum tries to make me wear a dress. Boys don't wear dresses. My dad's teaching me how to shave. But I have to keep the orange plastic bit on, just for now. And I pee facing the toilet. I wet the bed most nights. I hate my body won't do what it's told. My superpower is I am strong. Just like the Incredible Hulk. Well, he doesn't have a willy either. I checked. Mr. McGee, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Tommy, we're all constantly transitioning. Well, I'm not the same person I was 2 minutes ago, let alone the boy of my youth. Ugh.
Periods are my kryptonite. I'm 14 years old. Doesn't my body know I'm a boy? I hate the lumps growing on my chest and slouch to hide them. Mum makes me wear a bra. Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Anger is your superpower. Call upon your transcestors. Come on, girls. We've got an uprising to attend. Police officers are repeatedly, rapaciously beating and kicking a black butch lesbian who is resisting arrest or for not wearing the required 3 pieces of feminine clothing. Hispanic, African American and white transvestites, drag queens, butch dykes and queer hustlers create a righteous, rebellious rite of passage, causing transatlantic tsunami waves of transformation. However, almost 20 years later, private, consensual homosexual acts between passionate porfiters are still a criminal offence. No wonder you're on Struggle Street, darling. I'm 17 years old, school captain of a private girls' school. But I eat dinner alone in my bedroom every night. I sleep on the floor like a Buddhist monk to transcend my body. I feel like I'm 2 entirely different people. My superpower is hiding in plain sight. I searched Dad's dictionary for a word to describe me. Between unhappy and unnatural is unlovable. There's nothing unnatural about homos, darling. We're glittered throughout the natural world. But I get it. Some of us queers don't want to stand out lest we be kicked out of the modern tribe.
I'm 18 years old. I'm coming out to my mum. My superpower is courage. Mum is now rocking on the couch repeating, "I can't cope, I can't cope, I can't cope," with a mop in her hands. Cleaning is Mum's superpower.
We're a mess on aisle 3. Try cleaning that up, mummy dearest.
Is that why you make yourself look so ugly? Don't tell your sisters, it'll break up the family. Call your father. Make him come home so you can tell him. Dad appears relieved by the revelation. "Yeah, I thought you were going to tell me you're pregnant."
Immaculate misconception, daddy darling.
"You should see a psychiatrist. There's something wrong with you. It can be fixed."
As my fairy godmother used to say, if you don't have something nice to say, shut the fuck up. And I wish for a more compassionate world where words are considered and kind, and our kin are kindred spirits. Let's speed this up a little bit, if you know what I mean.
I am 22. I am one of 9 attendant dykes to the burning bra. 18 bare breasts proudly on display. I am surrounded by beautiful, brave men being queens. Well, if guys can be women, maybe I can too. My superpower is visibility. Maybe there's a sniper hiding in one of those buildings.
Fast forward 22 years. 50 beautiful, mostly Latinx queers are murdered in the Pulse nightclub shootings.
That's why us queers are still banging on about basic human rights. We're called humankind, not human nasty fuckers.
Do you have to make a song and dance about it and shove it down our throats?
Yes, actually. I don't know about your gag reflex, but there are some things I just can't swallow.
I'm 26 years old. I'm considering moving to Melbourne to take testosterone and have top surgery. Well, there's only one out trans person in Brisbane that I know of, but now he's a woman, she's a dyke, which is really confusing because if I transition, I'll become a straight guy. Won't I? Anyway, I'm 5'2" and I'll only ever look like a 12-year-old boy. And it'll be way too confronting for my parents. Would anyone ever really love me if I'm that different?
Trans people are almost always presented in popular culture as disgusting, duplicitous and dangerous. And disclosure is always dire, dreadful and deadly. For too long, the empires have been the umpires, overly obsessed with overseeing our bodies' bits and bobs as binary. Well, as my dear friend Hermione Granger says, trans witches are witches and deserve to live their lives without being persecuted. No wonder you're still on Struggle Street, darling.
I joined the circus instead. I ask all the other beautiful circus freaks to call me Scotty. I get my first tattoo to mark the transition. Fox in socks doing a one-armed handstand. Circus training is hard work, physically exhausting and very painful. Ugh, I love it. My superpower is I'm untouchable. At the same time, I get my first Hawaiian massage. It's a loving touch designed to soften hard places. I love it. I have to learn how to do it immediately. My superpower is sensitivity. Trust is my kryptonite. My trapeze partner is dropping me. In the split second of uncertainty, I wonder, will I break? I land flat on my back. I am in the emergency theatre, praying my burst vertebra doesn't pierce my spinal cord. I'm fixed in a full torso plaster cast for 12 weeks. A rather radical attempt at binding. I gift myself this second tattoo 5 weeks later.
A bottle of Moet, a bee venom facial, and Gucci therapy works for me.
I mark the first anniversary of the accident with my third tattoo, a Tibetan Buddhist infinity knot. It's a symbol of good luck, unconditional love, and long life. My superpower is I am unbreakable.
You're not gonna like this, baby.
I am 34 years old. I'm in the back of my van. My most intimate partner, who has loved me more fully than anyone else, is dying in my arms. My beautiful 14-year-old dog, Bee. I hold her to my chest, heart rupturing, beyond myself with fear. I am powerless to save her. I rush her to the emergency vet. She is internally bleeding to death as her heart cavity floods. When she's ready to let go and I'm ready to let her go, I massage Bee and sing to her as her soul exits her body. I have superpowers right now that I never knew I had. Her mortality transforms me. I get her paw print tattooed to the top of my foot. So wherever I walk, she always walks with me. Some of us know more about grief than others, darling. The AIDS epidemic is literally decimating gay men. Amid media vilification and public hysteria, communities of gay men, lesbians, drug users and sex workers throughout Oz rapidly rally together to create life-saving AIDS councils. Funeral after funeral after funeral. Our queer ancestors, forsaken and forgotten by families too ashamed to claim these beautiful perverts as their own. We are their offspring. We swim in their slipstream. Every year I sail away from home to get a bigger perspective. I'm 45 years old. I'm swimming beside the boat when two gentle giants appear. Two majestic 40-ton whales stand upright and face me. So close, I can hear.
You are this magnificent. You are this lovable. You are this wise.
Back on deck, my superpower is expansion.
I don't have enough skin for a tattoo to do this transmission justice. The person who dived into the water is not the same person who gets spat out. I love it. These two whales teach me to play big, like 40-ton big.
But there's another tornado brewing. I can feel it in my waters.
I'm 46 years old. The radiologist is showing me CT scans of 2 lumps the size of grapefruits attached to my uterus and ovaries. Holy radical hysterectomy, Batman. No more periods. What could possibly go wrong?
The operation goes horribly wrong. The surgeon accidentally nicks my abdominal muscles. I am slowly but surely internally bleeding to death, just like my dog, B. I'm being rushed into the emergency theatre. I wake up tethered to 7 cannulas and IV drips. Then surgical menopause strikes. Almost overnight, my butchered body sets itself on fire from the inside with relentless night sweats and hot flushes. I feel more womanly than I can ever imagine. And at the same time, I'm still a 12-year-old boy.
I'm 47 years old. I'm arriving at my folks' place to watch The State of Origin with Dad.
You'll be pleased to know that your mum just said,
A young man's just pulled up in a delivery van.
She finally thinks you're a boy.
For 52 years, Mum took care of Dad. Now she doesn't even know his name. His transition to her caregiver is transforming my family. He's my dad, and he's not. His superpower is he will love her till the 12th of never. And that's a long, long time. 20 minutes before the final siren, a ghost of a woman wanders down the hallway, overwhelmed. Whose house is this? She's my mum, and she's not. Her superpowers are being lost, and her transition is transforming my family. I now realize how hard it must have been for Mum to have a boy for a daughter and for Dad to have a tomboy for a son. And I think of parents still struggling to understand their queer and trans kids, and I'm thankful the pattern's been broken for my sister's gay son, my fairy godson. And I'm grateful that these two people are my kin, my kindred spirits.
This is why us queers are compelled to tell our histories. When we treasure our transcestors, our young people can foresee their fabulous futures. In-between people like me populated the planet well before the rigid rules of gender conformity colonised our cocks and cunts. So why the passionate preoccupation with policing people's pronouns? Ours is they, by the way.
I'm reconsidering top surgery. A binder makes my chest look how I feel it should, but it's so uncomfortable that I can't wait to remove it at the end of each day. Ugh. If I could gift my breasts to someone who really needs them, like a transplant for a trans woman or someone recovering from a mastectomy, I would.
Ancient Amazonian women removed their right breasts to become better warriors. Well, nowadays, women have breast reductions or enlargements all the time, and they're not questioned. Or breast cancer survivors have reconstructive surgery to feel more like themselves again, and they shouldn't be questioned. But if I want my breast tissue removed, I have to consult a psychiatrist who'll question my mental health and inclination for self-mutilation, even though top surgery has the potential to make me feel more like myself. I'm nearly 50. Clearly, it's not just a phase.
Fascinating double D standard, darling.
Here are the scars from the first keyhole hysterectomy attempt, where they accidentally nicked me. This is the scar where they drained 6 bags of my transient belly blood. This is the scar from my umbilical cord, where I first transitioned from my mum's womb. And this is the scar from the second hysterectomy attempt. The making of this scar nearly killed me, but ultimately gifted me back my boyhood. My superpower is resilience. But am I prepared to risk surgery again? If I do have top surgery, will I identify as a trans man? If I take testosterone as well, will I feel like a man? I'm trans, and I'm not.
Trans, back and forth, across, through and beyond. It's not just from one fixed binary to another. Trans is fluid, juicy, moist. Is the opposite of trans fixed? I know I can be transfixing. Fixed. Ooh, to be made rigid, permanently stuck, to be put back together again. I'm not broken. I don't need fixing. Words are useful, but not if they fix me to outdated versions of myself. Maybe I'm reluctant to decide anything because I don't want to deal with other people's transphobia. That's why you birthed a sensationally sassy alter ego who can charm and disarm the most ignorant offenders. Gender binaries are so 2014. Well, even the term non-binary is so binary, which is why I still love the term queer. Pink triangles don't fit in beige boxes. Ew. Well, there are some boxes I definitely fit. By definition, I was a textbook transgender child and adolescent, probably with ADHD. Maybe Mum would have found it easier if I fit in the box she imagined for me. I'm sure I would have found it easier if transitioning was an option for me back then. But then I never would have learnt to thrive in the in-between. Maybe I'll become a drag king. Oh, don't panic, darlings. Gender transitioning isn't contagious. But freedom and courage are. I am 50 years old. A psychiatrist has officially diagnosed me with gender dysphoria and ADHD. According to the current DSM, I have psychopathologies. And I don't. My mum was right, and she wasn't. There's nothing wrong with me. The problem is that colonisation constructed only 2 genders, and the patriarchy enforces it. I've been on testosterone gel for 3 months. I live in a body with injuries, scars and tattoos from the risks I've taken in my life. Any risks I take now are from a place of deep love for myself. So, I'm booked in next week for top surgery. My mum's dementia made it easier for me to decide. I'm concerned about the risks, the costs, and the recovery. But I'm excited about my body finally aligning with my understanding of the truth of who I really am. I'm not running away from gender dysphoria. I'm moving towards gender euphoria and beyond. Not a man or a woman. Not a superhero or a mere mortal. Trans-masculine, non-binary, queer. Transformed, but still me. My work here is done. For now.